You're watching the latest news from financialmirror.tv. The euro fell below 1.28 against the dollar for the first time since November 2006, and the pound tumbled to a 5-year low of 1.6205 on speculation European central banks will cut interest rates as the global economy heads for recession. Bank of England Governor Mervin King has specifically mentioned that he expects sterling to weaken, while French President Sarkozy has been making all the right noises for a significant euro decline, which may be his objective, given that it would forestall the politically difficult process of internal reform to make France more competitive. Sarkozy suggested that Europe could run a different monetary policy without violating the independence of the ECB. In order to achieve this, he plans introducing an economic council government which should discuss with the ECB. Given that sterling largely trades in line with the euro, it is another signal that Europe wants to cheapen its currencies. After recording the biggest overnight loss in 5 years of almost 7 cents on the dollar, sterling cut losses to last stand at $1.6387, down 1.77% on the day. The outlook for sterling has deteriorated markedly, and it appears that the currency is reliving its 1992 crisis, with risk of a 60-cent decline off the highs, says Barclays Capital. This would put the rate at around 150. The bank says oversold intraday conditions suggest a shallow bounce, but while it holds below 170, downside risks will only intensify. Fears of global recession and a flight from emerging markets overshadowed signs on Wednesday that government attempts to end the gravest financial crisis in 80 years may be bearing fruit. Stocks from London to Tokyo fell sharply on worries about the wider impact of the crisis, which pushed the global financial system to the brink of collapse. U.S. Treasury Undersecretary David McCormick said the American economy was in for a challenging few quarters, but could start to recover late next year. Emerging powerhouse Russia, whose markets have been battered during the crisis, also signaled improvements in bank lending. Official help was still at hand, however, with the Federal Reserve on Tuesday saying it could lend up to $540 billion to buy certificates of deposit and commercial paper from money market funds. European shares were down nearly 3% on Wednesday, and Japan's Nikkei average ended down 6.8%. Emerging markets were hardest hit by the global retreat and the fresh commodity pressure, with the US dollar and government bonds the big gainers. US crude oil futures fell under $70 per barrel, and London copper futures were down almost 4% to their weakest since December 2005. The commodity slide and emerging markets retreat all helped boost the US dollar to 2-year highs, while gold prices fell to their lowest in over a month. Ukraine Prime Minister Yulia Tymoshenko hopes her country will get $14 billion in aid from the IMF next week, and has set out measures to shield the country from what she called stagnation. She warned that revenues from taxes, which are vital for the budget, will be seriously weaker because stagnation has started all around the world and will affect Ukraine. Analysts are worried whether the Kiev government, firms and banks will be able to refinance their debt as global lending grinds to a halt, while credit rating agencies have cut their outlook on Ukraine. Meanwhile, neighboring Belarus announced it has requested a $2 billion credit from the IMF to uphold stability and economic growth rates in the ex-Soviet state. Going further west, Hungary's central bank raised interest rates by 300 basis points to 11.50%. in an emergency move after its foreign currency fell close to an all-time low against the euro. The bank had kept interest rates steady on Monday in the face of a 2-week sell-off of Hungarian assets by investors, who are worried over its ability to ride out the fallout of the global credit crunch. As if tackling with the global financial meltdown was not enough, IMF chief Dominique Strauss-Kahn, under investigation for possible abuse of power, also faces questioning about the hiring of a young French intern who worked on one of his political campaigns. The former French finance minister has come under scrutiny over whether he abused his position in a brief affair with Piroska Nagy, who worked in the IMF's Africa department until taking a buyout in August. While the hiring of the intern, 26-year-old Émile Bihet, is not part of that investigation, officials said an IMF lawyer was aware of it and will look at everything. Strauss-Kahn on Monday apologized to IMF employees and his wife for his error in initiating this relationship with Nagy, but denied he had abused his power. The intern, in the second case, worked on Strauss-Kahn's political campaign as he sought the socialist nomination in the French presidential election in 2006. The investigation is an embarrassing distraction for the IMF, just 16 months after a bruising ethics scandal at the World Bank in which its chief, Paul Wolfowitz, resigned over a high-paying promotion for his companion at the bank. Chinese internet surfers are furious over Microsoft's launch of an anti-piracy tool targeting Chinese computer users to ensure they buy genuine software. The Windows Genuine Advantage program, which turns the user's screen black if the installed software fails a validation test, is Microsoft's latest weapon in its war on piracy in China, where the vast majority of 200 million PC users are believed to be using counterfeit software. One angry blogger wrote that Microsoft has no right to control his hardware without agreement. Another railed over the cost of authorized versions, and a visitor to a Beijing internet cafe said Microsoft was violating people's rights. Dong Zhengwei, a Beijing lawyer, described Microsoft as the biggest hacker in China, with its intrusion into users' computer systems without their agreement or any judicial authority. The software giant defended the program on its website as part of its commitment to help protect its intellectual property and to help avoid problems before they happen. Thank you for watching FinancialMirror.tv.